Hello, I'm Sam Glover. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about network attached storage and is it right for your workflow? If you like this content, please click like and subscribe to help me grow this channel. Today's cameras are amazing. 30 pictures per second, 50 megabytes per picture. You can take thousands of pictures in a day, tens of thousands. It doesn't take long. It's easy to get an 8 terabyte Lightroom Classic file system. And so if you don't go through it and clean it up, it quickly is way more than what our hard drives can handle. So we need workflows where we can manage this data, go through things, sort them. Videography is even worse with stereoscopic files and 3D files, large complex Final Cut Pro or other project systems. We need bigger. And how are we going to get that? These 8 to 16 terabyte systems, they're slow and you really can't work through your files directly with that. So, what are our options? For me, I try to keep a few things in line. So I have a 16 terabyte RAID 0 system that gives me about 2,700 megabytes per second. And so that's a pretty good size. It gives me an intermediate project place where I can do fast work, move it somewhere else. But then I needed a larger file system where I can handle and still relatively be able to move and access my files. And so Synology DS1821 Plus is what I chose to use. It gives me about 1,000 megabytes per second read-write speeds after it's been upgraded and I've put the proper connections in place. So that's a lot faster than these typical drives that we're getting, maybe 100 megabytes per second. The network attached storage and NAS drives accessible over your network. It's not like just plugging in the USB drive, as it actually connects with the Ethernet cable to your system. Other people can connect to it. You can connect to it other places in the world. You could actually take that data and have it sync up with another Synology offsite. You can even use a Synology C2 cloud or other cloud services to work with true cloud backups of your data. So there's lots of options. And it really is a very flexible, large working space. I chose to use 8 12 terabyte drives, Seagate Iron Wolf drives. Those are NAS focused. That's what they're made for, is to be up 24/7. And so to the Synology system that houses those and manages that, I added memory, I added some cache, and I added an expansion card to make sure that I could access it and let it move files as fast as possible. And just a refresher on this, so bits and bytes. So we've got gigabytes is how much data we're actually moving, whereas bits, so the 8 bits to a byte. And so that's how fast things transfer. So when we're talking about gigabit Ethernet or 10 gigabit Ethernet, we're really moving more like 100 megabytes per second, or in the case of 10 gigabit Ethernet, we're running more of a gigabyte per second. The 96 terabyte configured drive actually gives you more like 80 because you need to allow for tolerance for losing a drive. So in case otherwise, it'd be like a RAID 0 system. If any of the drives fail, you lose all your data. In this case, if any of the drives fail, just one drive fails, you can still continue running. You replace the other drive and you're good to go. If 2 drives fail, you're done. So this is an SHR1, but there is also an SHR2 configuration that you can run as well. For speed, I've been really happy with it. I am getting about 1,000 megabytes per second to transfer with my Mac Studio, and so it's hitting pretty close to what you would consider theoretical maxes, and so I'm happy with that, and it lets me do real-world work in a very large data space. To accomplish that, I needed to add a couple things. I need to add a fast switch that can handle 10 gigabit Ethernet, and you also have to use Cat6 cables. There's some options that you can tweak. The minimum transmission unit, the MTU, you can go into your Mac and also the Synology and tweak that so that you can really focus on large, efficient transfer of data. And for me, I found the speeds to be very good. The 16 terabyte RAID, I'm looking at 2,700 megabytes per second. The Synology is 1,000. When I just connect the Mac laptop to it without getting a special adapter, it's got 100 megabytes per second because it's going through a Cat5 cable. and the Cat 6 cable is not going to help it, but I can get a different adapter, and it can make then use, if necessary, I can connect it directly up, and it can also get 1,000 megabytes per second. If you got to connect it to it wirelessly, you can. It's on your Ethernet, but it's going to be affected by whatever rates, whatever your speed is of your connectivity, and um, so it's going to be much, much slower. But you can connect to it. Just a real quick word: the NAS drive does come with more overhead cost. You got to figure out the software. You have to add the memory, add the drives, add the network card, which is all pretty easy. It's one time that you have to do that. It's pretty well described by the installation material that came with it, and but you'd have to learn this DSM, this management utility, and the different functions that are there. And you got to balance between learning to become this IT specialist and getting it to do the kind of technical content you want. You want to get the best bang for your buck. You want to get full use of your investment, but you also want to get to use it without that being your thing that you're focused on, just managing that drive. It goes without saying you want to protect this, and you want to put a UPS on it. And a modern UPS connects to the Synology, tells it when it's getting low battery, and it tells the thing to turn off. As I mentioned, you're going to have to use a Cat 6 cable. You should utilize a 10 GPE card. You got to have a 10 GPE cable switch that's got at least 2 ports that are rated for that. You should add the cache, the memory, and that's going to give you the optimum use of your drive. You don't have to, but otherwise it's going to be running at 100 megabytes per second. You can tweak your settings to make sure that you're, depending on the types of files that you're moving, are they large, are they small? That'll help you more efficiently make sure that you're getting the most productive use of your system. Obviously you want to keep the software up to date, and I use two-factor authentication to make sure that I'm protected, and obviously strong password encryption, and those things are all important. The drives are smart now. They have monitoring tests. You just got to enable them and have them checked to make sure that everything's running properly, and you can set those to run as weekly and monthly tests, and have those do a quick test and then more extended tests on a monthly basis to make sure everything's happy. For me, I use Carbon Copy Cloner for a lot of my backups. It's a Mac system, and so using that 16 terabyte RAID 0 right now to run my Lightroom Classic files, that's really fast, and that's every night or whenever I want. I can just do a quick backup to the Synology, but I'm using the Synology now for all my videography work, so that I can put all the big file, all the Final Cut Pro files in there, and be able to manage that large set of data. And so going to be really starting to work that out and get a better handle of actually being able to properly set my projects up. In closing, I've been using the Synology 1821 Plus for about 6 months. I'm very happy with it. Still really working out the full use and the workflows, and really trying to get my network administration skills up. I still use some of these 8 terabyte drives to do some critical backups, and especially now that I'm using the NAS as a primary storage system and not just a primary backup. I'm trying to make sure that for critical files I have a backup of those. But look forward to continue to provide a specific video on how I'm using my NAS and setup tweaks that I find along the way. Please click like and subscribe. I've provided a few slides after this to help with some of the IT gibberish. If you are not an IT person and want to know what some of those words might mean, or not have to go look them up, there's some of the information sets after this. I just didn't want to waste people's time if you guys were familiar with it, but there's some more information in the next few slides that you can peruse, and if it's helpful.